we shall talk about Prophet Musa alayhi salam in what is in line with the Surah Kahf, how is mentioned in Surah Kahf. So we shall only talk about the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam in Surah Kahf, and that is the chapter 18 of the Holy Quran. It is a short story there. It is only on 2 pages. That's one paper. So we shall not take much of your time, inshallah. I think by midnight we should be in our hostel in Kuala to give us the guidance. As you are all aware, Prophet Musa alayhi salam is a son of Imran, and is one of the children of the Bani Israel. Israel as a name is given to Yaqub alayhi salam, the father to Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So Yaqub is also called Israel. So all the descendants from Yaqub, they are called Banu Israel. So Musa alayhi salam happens to be one of the descendants from the great family of Yaqub. The other side we call him Jacob. So he's one of the children of Banu Israel, and in particular his father is called Imran, and there is a debate on his mother, but we shall get to know about the mother inshallah shortly. But his mother is also in the lineage of Yaqub alayhi salam. So Musa alayhi salam, we can say that he's also from a great family, just like most of you are from big families, but Musa in particular is also from a very big family. The other thing is that Musa alayhi salam, personally, as a person, Allah gave him some strength. He was a very powerful man. At least he was not like me. I'm also powerful in my own ways, but I'm not like Musa. You might have heard somewhere else that one time the angel came to remove the soul. That is when Musa neared the time of death. So the angel came to take the soul of Prophet Musa. So he just gave the angel a punch, a small one, and the eye had to go off, and then the angel had to rush back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the other person is very tough. So let's devise another mechanism. So Musa alayhi salam, as a person, Allah gave him some strength, and is thought to be one of the powerful people that we have experienced in our religion.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال موسى لفتاه لا أبره حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبا فلما بلغا مجمع بينهما نسيا حوتهما فاتخذ سبيله في البحر سربا فلما جاوزا قال لفتاه آتنا غداءنا لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصبا.
Bismillah. One time, a certain Arab man said that ilbas في كل حال لبوسها إما نعيمها وإما بؤسها. You dress according to the situation, because in every situation there is always a cloth that will fit that situation. So today we are put on a dress of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. So one day Musa alayhi salam قام خطيبا, he preached, he delivered a sermon. Just like you stand in a kutuba or in another place, then you deliver a sermon. Now, since he was a prophet, the prophet would always give a touching sermon because his heart is pure. He doesn't have anything like riyah in the deliverance. So the message usually goes direct to the heart. So one time Musa alayhi salam delivered the message that he wanted. Now immediately after the sermon, a certain person followed him, and he asked Musa, Man a'lamu nas? We have seen you have preached very well, and the lesson was so touching. Whom do you think is the best knowledgeable person on earth? Then Musa alayhi salam had to say, Anna. He said that it is me. Now that was the mistake, because he was supposed to say that Allah A'lam, it is Allah who does what? Who knows. But because he was a prophet, for him he thought that he owns the all knowledge of the mankind. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that no, there is a servant of mine who is more knowledgeable than you are. So Musa alayhi salam, after the sermon and after confessing himself that he's more knowledgeable, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cautioned him that you are not. So Musa became anxious, just like you. If you've been thinking that you are the most powerful and then you hear of someone else in another village, you anxiously stand up to go and meet that person. So Musa alayhi salam asked Allah to show him that man. Where is that man who is more knowledgeable than me, so that I can learn from him? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him guidance. If you want to know the man, what you do, you get a fish. The word hut in Arabic language usually is used for big pieces, big fish, like the nail punch, the tilapia, the whales. But if you have something like a mukene, you can call it mukene, not hut. For hut, it is always a big what? A big fish. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided Musa alayhi salam that you get a hut, which means now what? A big fish, a big fish. But in normal circumstances and in the little biology that we all have, when you take a fish out of water, will it still be alive? No, it will die. So immediately he got the fish. Of course, it was dead. But the historian said that he also fried the fish. The fish was mashwiya, roasted. Eh? Now, some people usually become anxious that he couldn't even pluck something to eat. I don't know for sure. But what I know is that the fish was mashwiya, was roasted. So Allah told him that you will move with that fish on the shores. So when you meet a point where two oceans meet, the word bahar in Arabic language is used for seas and oceans. If you want to mean a lake, you can say buhaira. If you want to mean a river, you can say nahar. So you will move until you will reach the point of intersection or the junction between two oceans or two seas. And that's where you'll find that more knowledgeable servant than you. So what Musa said, he had his beloved servant, Yusha ibn Nun, who was one of his disciples or the followers. So Musa alayhi salam told Yusha ibn Nun that La Abrah, I will not stop. I will not stop, meaning I will continue moving hatta ablugha majma al-bahrain, until I will reach the junction between what? Between two oceans. Or else I will move for a very long time. Hukuba means a very long time, period of time, either years or even more years, hundreds of years. I will move until I meet that person who is more knowledgeable than me. So he told the servant. Unfortunately, he didn't tell the servant that when we are moving, you notice the fish. Anything that happens to the fish, let me do what? Let me know. So Allah told him that you will move along the shores, and the point where this fish will gain life now, will gain the life back, that is where the servant is. So Musa, after telling the disciple, Yusha ibn Nun, they started to move along the shores. And it must have been a very long journey, because they got tired and they had rest on a certain rock. So where they rested, Musa fell asleep, and the other man was still anxious, was still conscious of the situation. So in that way, it is said that the fish gained life. and it had to go to the what? The ocean, and meaning that that was the point that we wanted. But Yusha Abu Nun, since he wasn't aware of the target, for him, he took the things very light, and when the master woke up, they decided to continue. Not until they surpassed that place, Musa felt hunger, and he had to tell Yosha Abu Nun that Atina Gada Ana. Gada, it is used for lunch, meaning that the sun was scorching and he was thirsty and he was really feeling hungry. So he told Yosha Abu Nun that Atina Gada Ana, you bring our lunch. Now the lunch is not the fish. Of course, if you're moving, you have to pack lunch. That's where some people make a mistake. He didn't call for the fish. No, he called for a food, for a certain type of food that they packed, particularly for lunch. So that's when the man recalled that the fish had actually run into the what? Into the ocean. So he said, هل إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة ماذا بدأ؟
لقد لقينا
لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصب. لا لا آتنا غداءنا لقد لقينا من سفرنا هذا نصب. You bring our lunch because we have made a lot of challenges, a lot of tiredness, a lot of problems in our journey. So you bring the lunch so that we can eat. Nasaba. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a certain hadith that as-safaru qit'atun min al-azab. Journey or traveling is part of punishment. يمنع أحدكم طعامه وشرابه ونومه. It refuses someone of you amongst you to eat very well or to drink very well or even to sleep. So the Prophet said that فإذا قضى نهمته, if you finish what has taken you in a certain place, you hurry to come back to your people because the journey is always hectic. So Musa alayhi salam felt a lot of hunger and tiredness, so he called for food. That's when Yusha Abu Nun recalled that the fish had gone to the what fish, and he had to tell Musa alayhi salam that do you know the place where we rested? Yes. I forgot to tell you, and Satan made me forget that, but actually the fish gained life and took back the way to water. So Musa said, anxiously, that that is what we wanted. That was our target for us to move. So before we continue, I want also to say that when you are pursuing a certain target, you two or you are very men or you're in a company, it's always better to tell the person what is the goal, because sometimes you would want to realize the goal alone and you leave the subordinate, and yet the subordinate can also realize the goal even before you. So you have to tell them that as we are moving, take note of this. This is our target, so that in case of anything positive that happens, you let know. So Musa alayhi salam, he was told that the fish had taken the course to the water. So he said anxiously, that was our target. Now, if it was one of you, if I'm asking that if you're anxious of meeting someone and you feel hunger in the process, but they tell you that the person is just behind you, you still feel the hunger. You may not feel the hunger because in the little science that I have, Allah made two systems that take control of our usual processes. You have the para and the silka, which I don't want to go into. But usually when you're feeling hunger, it means that there is another system taking action. But if you are in anxiety, you are anxious of something, or you are frightened of something, the system that calls for hunger will cease. And then the other one, which requires for excitement or taking off because of fear, will come into control. So you will no longer feel the hunger. So Musa immediately never felt of any hunger that time. They decided to go back and meet the what? The big man who has the knowledge. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that he is more knowledgeable than Musa. So it means that when you stop eating, it does not mean that the hunger will not come back, but it means that you have now gained the control of the system. And that one is, of course, what you also experience. Usually when you're fasting, in the first days, you feel the hunger because the system is now tuned to eating. But as you proceed, or you get something that will take your minds, you don't feel hunger, you don't think of eating. So Musa alayhi salam, they went back to the other point where the fish had gained life. Continue from there.
قال أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة فإني نسيت الحوت وما أنسانيه إلا الشيطان أن أذكره واتخذ سبيله في البحر عجبا قال ذلك ما كنا نبغ فارتدا على آثارهما قصصا فوجدا عبدا من عبادنا آتيناه رحمة من عندنا وعلمناه من لدنا علما قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا.
So Musa alayhi salam, when the gentleman Yusha, that gentleman is Yusha ibn Nun, when he told him that the fish had gained life at the other point, actually he did not get annoyed and he didn't become angry that why didn't you tell me in the first place and you let me move up to this point, then it's now that you are telling me. No, he didn't say that. Now that one means that sometimes the people that we lead or our maids or our servants, sometimes they make mistakes. They make mistakes, but it is not always it is not good to start there and then blaming them, because everyone is capable of making a mistake. Actually, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a certain hadith that إخوانكم خولكم جعلهم الله تحت أيديكم فمن كان أخوه تحت يده فليطعمه مما يأكل وليلبسه مما يلبسه ولا تكلفوهم ما يغلبهم فإن كلفتموهم فأعينوهم. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once said that the servants or the maids, how are ikhwanukum? They are your brothers, they are your sisters. And then he said that ja'alahumullahu tahta aydikum. Yes, Allah put their control into your hands. So he said that faman kana akhuhu tahta yadi. If the brother is in control, if you are in control of someone, a brother or a sister who is now a maid or a servant or a slave in any way, فَلْيُطْعِمُهُ مِمَّا يَأْكُلُ. You feed that person the very food that you eat. You don't eat rice and then you give them something else which is not good. You feed them from what you also eat. وَلْيُلْبِسُهُ مِمَّا يَلْبَسُ. You also dress them from what you dress. If you dress very well, also provide good dressings for the servants, for the workers. وَلَا تُكَلِّفُوهُمْ مَا يَغْلِبُهُمْ. Don't assign them tasks that they will not manage. You give a person so many tasks at a go and you want them to do that task in a short time, which is also impossible to you. So you don't assign them heavier tasks that they cannot manage. But he said that فَإِنْ كَلَّفْتُمُوهُمْ, if you happen to assign them such tasks that are bigger than their expectations, فَأَعِنُوهُمْ, then you support them. You help them to pursue the tasks. So Musa alayhi salam did not.
A simple question. What if I happen to be playing them and I use it in the context of their work? So should I give them the hand which I'm giving them the
Sheikh has said that what if you are paying them, but you also have a ground of humanity? Yes, that ground of humanity will come into control. If they are humans and you really know that this task is too much heavier than them, you can help. You can help. It is not a problem. And then at the end of it all, you pay them their full amount. Don't say that I helped you to wash the plates sometime. Did you remember? Yes. So you let them get their salary in advance and in full payments. The other thing is that sometimes we caution them and we blame them and we abuse them, especially, I will not talk apart from you who are here, but those ladies who are outside, They are very rude when it comes to maids, and they abuse them. Actually, one Arab said that لها لا كانت فما لو لو تفتح توهمته بابا من النار يفتح. That lady, she has a mouth. I wish that lady could even die. That if she opens the mouth, it's like they have opened a door from Jahannam, because the lady can cast words from every corner, and she can even tell you that I'm telling you that I'm going to abuse you, and I give you a bill you pay from the bank. Those ladies are there. So you don't blame them, don't abuse them anyhow, because they're also humans like you do. So Musa alayhi salam did not blame the man, but what he decided, let's go back. Allah says, فَارْتَدَّا عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمَا قَصَصًا. They had to go back and follow the footsteps. That one now means that they were moving in a sandy place. Because usually this place of ours, if you move, the foot do not stay back. You don't leave signs of your what? Footsteps, isn't it? So it means that they were moving along the shores. So Musa alayhi salam decided to tell Yusha, no, that let's go back to the point where that thing happened. So they went back, following the very footsteps, meaning we don't want to get lost again on the way. Like maybe we went to another place. No. So they followed the footsteps and then went back to the place where the other incident happened. So in that way, they met a man. Now, when they met a man, Muhatta was covering himself, so they could not notice that he was a man there. So Musa identified that this is maybe the man. So he went to the man and he said, Assalamu alaikum. Then the man said, Wa alaikum assalam. And the man said, Wahal anna fil ardi salam. Do we have peace in this place? Because it is said that that peace, that place that the man was living was full of evil issues. And he couldn't expect anyone to say salam to him. So when Musa said salam, the man also got anxious. Wahal fi ardina salam. We also have peace in our place. We have people of your kind in our place. So he decided to ask him, who are you? Then Musa introduced himself that I'm Musa. Then the man said, Musa, Banu Israel. That is how it is quoted. Musa from the children of Bani Israel, the children of Israel. Then he said, yes. What do you want from me now? He said, I want you to teach me something that Allah taught you. But you were given Taurat. You have the Taurat. Have I ever asked you about your Taurat? You have the Taurat. Why don't you learn from it? He said, no, there is a special knowledge that you have. So they started discussing. So in that way, that story actually, it is all rotating around seeking for knowledge. And that is the story, the summary of the story, seeking for knowledge. What are the disciplines of seeking for knowledge? A person who is going to seek for knowledge. Now, the very instance of meeting with your lecturer or with your teacher or from a school, the first kind is you seek admission. So Musa alayhi salam reaching the man, he sought for the admission. Hal attabi'uka. Should I follow you so that you teach me from what Allah has taught you? Then the other issue is that you have to be disciplined with your lecturer. You greet. You say salam, like he did. He came and then he said salam. Assalamu alaikum salam. So you also have to be disciplined. You greet your lecturers. Then the other issue is that you don't undermine the person who is going to give you knowledge. Like you might find someone who is going to teach you when he's younger than you, or maybe he has no beards, and for you have a what? You have a beard, which is okay. So if he's not going if you are not going to bow down to that person to teach you, it means that you will not learn. The Arabs say that what normally takes away knowledge, there are two things. Number one is al-kibr, someone to have arrogance. But how can I learn from that younger whatever? Don't want those. You bow down and learn. Then the other one is al-haya, someone to feel shyness. Me, I don't want to sit in the mosque. They will do something. If you're too shy, it means that you will not learn. So Musa alayhi salam, regardless of his prophecy, he was a prophet, and one of the prominent prophets is among the five the five prominent prophets. Musa alayhi salam, Kalimullah, used it to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without a preceptor, without an interpreter, one on one, Musa alayhi salam. But when Allah said that there is a person more knowledgeable than you, he decided to put down the wings and then had to follow the way of seeking for knowledge. And that's how we should be. Sometimes for us, we think that the little we have is sustaining and we end up neglecting some knowledge. So we should always be anxious when it comes to seeking for knowledge. Certain Sahaba, Abdullah, said that "Utlub al-ilm," you seek for knowledge. But in Ajaztum, if you fail to seek for the knowledge, فَأَحِبُّ أَهْلًا, then you love those who have what? Who have knowledge. Because usually if you don't have the perfume and you sit near someone who is having perfume, you also get the what? You can even decide to do like this. So, فَأَحِبُّ أَهْلًا, you love those who have what? Who have knowledge. Isn't it? So it means that even if you want this issue of girl or boy, that is marriage, you look for someone who has what? Who has some knowledge. But you also said that فَإِن لَمْ تُحِبُّوهُمْ, if you happen that you don't want to seek for knowledge, you don't want to love those who have what? Knowledge, or تُبْغِضُوهُمْ, then you don't get annoyed of them. When they say, that shakens, I don't want that one. You don't have anything. Then why do you hate people who have knowledge? Don't hate them. At least you at least don't love them, but don't hate them and don't abuse them. You don't have to grow wings when it comes to seeking for what? For knowledge. People will always have reasons not seek for knowledge. They say that they kind me, I don't want to study the Quran, but at least at your size, they will not do what? They will not kind you. You try to read something small. More so you are in a good environment, try to learn something. Actually, we shall conclude with a certain hadith of the Prophet, which is a long one, inshallah, which regards knowledge. But they also say that sometimes what will hinder you from seeking knowledge is you over believing in the little that you have. Actually, they say that you be humble when seeking for knowledge. If you are humble, يَأْتِيكَ الْعِلْمُ قَلِيلُ, the knowledge will come to you, very little of it. Because what you have to know is that the knowledge is very wide. You might be knowing Quran, but you don't know the Hadith. You might be knowing the Hadith, but you don't know some Tawheed. You might be knowing some Tawheed, but you don't know the history. So the knowledge is wide. But if you are humble for the knowledge, يَأْتِيكَ الْعِلْمُ قَلِيلُ, the knowledge will come to you, very little of it. But they say that very little, هَذَا الْقَلِيلُ مِنْكَ وَفِيكَ كَثِيرٌ, that little that you have to you is very, very big. If, for example, a person who is a professor in something small. In your O level, you studied all those subjects. When you came to HS, you decreased. You came to 3 principles. When you came to university, you decreased still. When you go to masters, you will still decrease. When you go to doctorate, you still decrease the content. But when you become a professor, you'll be a professor in something small, but that small will be able to sustain you for everything almost. So, al-qalilu fika wa minka kathir, the little that you will get in the knowledge is very big. So you should not be arrogant with the little that you have. That for us we know what, we know Quran. No, you keep learning, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So Musa alayhi salam engaged the man that hal attabi'uka, should I follow you? Allah, on a condition, and to aliman, so that you can teach me mimma ulimta rushda, from what you've been what? Told rushda, for guidance. Meaning the very knowledge, the very primal knowledge for you to seek is the knowledge that will guide you in your religion. Why should someone rush to learn about witchcraft when you don't know how to recite Surah Al-Fatiha? Yeah? Why should someone know how to memorize all those songs? Even when you're sleeping, you can say, you know the rhythm, how it flows. Why should you go into the music yet you don't know what? You don't know the basics. Yeah? I have my sisters, she can narrate a full series from episode 1 to episode maybe 10. Even where the other person coughed, she can even try to imitate that one. So why should you waste all the RAM, all those gigabytes in such a thing? So the very basic knowledge for you to seek is the knowledge that will guide you in your religion, will guide you on how to pray, will guide you on how to fast, and will guide you on so many issues relating to the religion. So Musa asked the man, should I follow you so that you teach me from what you've been taught, so that I can also seek and the guidance? Then the man said, a very perturbing issue to Musa, Innaka lan tastati'a ma'iya sabra. Here, let me say something about the Arabic language. In Arabic, we said some time back that if you want to, to remove doubt from someone, use things that will strengthen the meaning. One of them in Arabic, you use inna, which means in fact or indeed. So the man had never seen Musa anywhere. But when Musa sought for a chance to move with the man said that indeed or in fact, you cannot be patient with me. You can never bear patience with me. And he used a word, lan. In Arabic, we say, linafil istiqbal, takbir. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Linafil istiqbal. Lan, it means that you are refuting something that it will not happen in the future. Even when you have not experienced it, but you are sure it will not happen. For example, if you say that la akulu, means I'm not going to eat, but you can develop some feelings and you get what? You start eating. But if you say lan akula, it means that you will never eat and you cannot eat. So should we see you in Abu Mayanja or Nabil, then those are problems. Then, so the man said, innaka, indeed or in fact, lan, you will never bear patience with me. Musa said, this is the fastest place we are meeting. How can you say that? He also became anxious. Then the man added another statement that, وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. How can you be patient from what you have never experienced? Now here I want to say that if you studied in a girls' school, only girls, or only boys' school, you only boys, and you said that, me, I'm patient with the zina. There is no zina there because you were single sex. Not until when you come in a mixed school, that's when you will say that, me, I'm patient from what? Yes. If you are living in an environment where there are soldiers, there is police everywhere. Policemen are everywhere. You don't say that, me, I'm patient from stealing. You are not patient, it's because of the security. But how to determine patience is when you are in that situation. For example, if you lose someone dies, your friend or your mom, that's when we say that you are patient. Are we together? And patience, the Prophet said that al-amal bil khawatim, jobs or deeds are rewarded according to the ending, isn't it? Except the patience, because the Prophet said, in the sadamatul ula, the patience is determined from the very essence of something. If something happens just like this, that's how we shall determine that you're patient or you're not. So when your beloved one dies, how do you behave in that situation? That's how we shall determine patience, and that's how you will be rewarded. So the other activities will be rewarded at the end, but patience at the beginning. So the gentleman told Musa that, you will never bear patience with me. And how can you be patient for something that you have not experienced? Then Musa said, he also said the same, used the same statement. Satajiduni, you will find me inshallah. So he had to use Allah's name. You will find me inshallah min as-sabirin. I will be among those who are patient. And so that is how he said. So the man agreed. And Musa signed the terms and conditions, the rules and what? Regulations. Is it also allowed to say regulations and rules? Regulations and rules. Or it is always rules and regulations? Okay, rules and regulations. He said that is how things flow. Like you say, ladies and what? Gentlemen. You cannot say gentle ladies and what? And men. That's how the thing flows. So Musa had to sign the terms and what? And the conditions, and they had to start the journey. And my friend Abdul is going to start from there. Pampala.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فانطلقا حتى إذا ركبا في السفينة خرقها قال أخرقتها لتغرق أهلها لقد جئت شيئا إمرا.
So when they started moving, Alhamdulillah, we said earlier that it was a shore, isn't it? Meaning there was a lake somewhere or an ocean. So they met. Some young boys who have what? Who have a boat. So they decided to use the boat to proceed to their destiny. So immediately they stepped in the boat. The man called Al-Khidr, he is called Al-Khidr or Al-Khadr, regardless of your background, you can say Al-Khidr. So the man, Khidr, or the gentleman, the professor now who is going to teach Muusa, the doctor, said, uh, no, they stepped in the what? In the boat, and they had to start to sail on water to their destiny. So as they were sailing, the man, Al-Khidr, the professor, got something and then created a hole in the boat. And what we didn't say earlier is that the man told Musa that when you see me doing anything, you be like you were a child, you cannot tell. Eh? Don't say anything, not until I tell you what that one means, isn't it? So when they started moving, the man created a hole in the boat. Unless maybe you are not anxious, but if you have ever traveled on a lake and someone creates a hole in the boat, yeah? Because by the even me, I've never traveled on water, but I watched it in a movie. Yeah? That if you are sailing, and maybe the boat the weight is increasing, and we want this boat to move very fast, what we do, we get luggages and throw in water. So what the principle in our place, if you want to travel on water, what you do, you don't sit on your luggage, you sit on someone's what? Luggage. So when the condition is worsened, you quickly get and throw in what? In water. If you sit on yours, you don't throw it in water. So when someone creates a hole in that situation, when you are water sailing, you have to become anxious. Someone says, "Aharakta," you create a hole in لِتُغْرِقَ أَهْلَهَا. You want to destroy the owners of the boat. And they didn't actually charge them transport. They said, you move for free. So how again can you create a hole? So the man told Musa, Alam Akul, didn't I say that you will not bear patience with me? Did I say that one? Yeah? So Musa alayhi salam told him, La tu'akhidni bima nasit. Don't caution for. I request you don't caution. You don't blame for what I've forgotten. Meaning, in agreements, there will always be one part that will maybe forget. Even here in the rules and regulations, you sign something, but you end up breaking the rule. But that one should not be a reason for you to be chased out from the school. And this is where I said this, that me personally, I'm not interested I'm not happy with those people who chase people from school, that we have expelled you, especially in Islamic schools or the Quran schools. Because if you are chasing someone because of stealing, or if you are chasing someone because of jumping over the fence, which you did not build up to the heaven, it can be accessed to be jumped. So if you are chasing him because of stealing, where do you expect that person to get reform? Where will he be upright? So we should always give other chances, not expelling children, expelling people, because parents are spending a lot of money for that son to study. So Musa alayhi salam, when he deviated from the conditions, he had to seek for forgiveness. I request you don't caution for what I've forgotten. So I request you continue with the journey. So the man accepted, because in the first place, he knew, Al-Khidr, the professor, he knew that Musa will at one time break from my conditions, will not bear with my conditions. So he also accepted in heart to forgive Musa alayhi salam. Even you, if you're having servants or maids and maybe she's washing plates and the plate fall down and it breaks, that one should not be an issue. That is just a mistake. After all, you have very many in the whatever and are not broken. So Musa alayhi salam sought for forgiveness and he was forgiven and he had to continue. فانطلق.
فانطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما فقتله قال أقتلت نفسا زكية بغير نفس لقد جئت شيئا نكرا.
So from that instance, we agreed this time round there is no saying anything without my consent. So they proceeded with the journey, and immediately they got off the boat and they started walking. The man saw a younger boy playing maybe with others, and Al-Khidr, the professor, decided to go to the boy and killed the boy. Unless maybe you are not anxious, but this is someone whose child is playing his own game, maybe hide and what? Hide and discover. It is hide and see, hide and discover. By the way, I also played those games, hide and discover. But one time there were two people. One was called Trouble, and then one was called what? Mind your business. So they decided to play that game, mind your business, and then the other one is called Trouble. So it so happened that as they started playing, Trouble went and hid himself. So mind business was remaining there. So mind business was looking for who? For Trouble. Hey, what is Trouble? Where is Trouble? So time went, and the policeman happened to come and found mind your business alone there, looking from every point of the place. So the policeman expected, is this one a thief? So the policeman asked the younger boy, young man, what is your name? So the man told the policeman that, what is my name? Mind your business. So the policeman was angry with the police. So he asked again, what is the what? What is your name? The boy said, mind your business. Then he said it again. He said, mind your business. That is my name. So the policeman, out of anger, he said, are you looking for trouble? Then the younger boy said, how have you come to know? How have you come to know? Of course, he was in prison. So the gentleman, the professor Al-Khidr, of course, that one is not in the Quran. People will start now asking, what you quote. I'm not quoting. What I'm saying is that Al-Khidr, alayhi salam, killed the boy out of the blue. He killed the boy. So Musa again became anxious about his situation. How can you kill an innocent person? Akatalta nafsa, have you killed a soul بغير nafsi, without any soul? Because Islamically, there are scenarios where someone, even if he's a Muslim, is out to be killed. It's permissible to kill that person. I'll give you three of them. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لا يحل دم امرئ مسلم يشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأني رسول الله إلا بإحدى ثلاث: النفس بالنفس، الثيب الزاني، والتارك لدينه المفارق للجماعة أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. Someone can be killed if he or she commits any of the three. Number one, if he kills another person. So if you happen to kill another person out of the blue, then the Sharia Council judge on you to be killed. The other one is Athayibuzan, committing adultery, and yet you are married. You have the playground. Then why do you go somewhere else? If you practice adultery, but when you're married, the Sharia says that we do what? We kill you, because now that one will become a what? A habit. Yeah? By the way, what you should have to know is that the Sharia is very genuine on that issue, because issues of ladies or issues of families getting mixed up, it is not good. You live with children, you call them your children, but in actual sense, you have no child amongst them. So it is okay for the Sharia to rule that way. So the other issue where you're allowed to kill a person, of course, under jurisdiction and under certain rules, is that if someone denounces Islam, if you devote Islam, then you join another religion, and we call you refuse. For us, we shall kill you from there. It is allowed. Then, Musa alayhi salam, when he saw this man killing the innocent soul, he said anxiously, Akatalta nafsa, have you killed an innocent soul? Bighayri nafs, he has not killed another person that you are killing him. How could you do that? لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا نُكِرًا. You have now done something which is worse than the other one you did. Nukira. Then Khidr said, Alam akul laka. Didn't I tell you? Now, this time round, he added something that, Alam akul laka. Didn't I say to you that you will not bear patience with me? So Musa alayhi salam, this time round, he said that إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني قد بلغت من لدني عذرا. If I ever say anything or ask you about anything after this time, then I request we stop there because you will have a lot of reasons to denounce the what the company. We seize the company and then we go part. So فانطلق شيخ.
فانطلقا حتى إذا أتيا أهل قرية استطعما أهلها فأبوا أن يضيفوهما فوجدا فيها جدارا يريد أن ينقض فأقامه قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا.
Before that, I want to console myself and I want to console my fellow Arsenal fans. Of course, I'm not from Arsenal, but they also mine is Chelsea, by the way, because we are in the same city of London. We are in London. Ours is not good as you know as well. So I want to console our fellow Arsenal, whatever, that things happen, and we can say that Inna Lillahi. So back to the point. So Al-Khidr, he considered the apology, and then found Talaka. They decided to do what? To continue. Hatta إذا أتيا أهل قرية, until they reached in a certain village or a certain city or a certain town. استطعما أهلها. They sought for some food. You remember that Musa was hungry in the first place, and he had the lunch with the fellow, but immediately he started moving. I don't know what happened to the fellow. He might have gone back with the food. So Musa did not eat anything from the other time. So he's still angry. So when they moved with Hebrew, they reached a village and they asked for some food to eat. So when they asked for food to eat, it so happened that I don't know, but the people of that village were so mean, they did not give them anything to eat. أبوا أن يضيفوهما. أبوا أن يمنحوا لهم طعاما. They did not give them anything to eat. وجد فيها جدارا, but they found a wall that is almost collapsing. فأقام, and Khidr decided to put right the wall. And Musa, let me ask you, if you want something from someone and he does not give it to you, and you again help that person, it becomes, so you demand for something again. So Musa alayhi salam told Khidr, لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا. If you wanted, you could have charged them for putting right the wall, because we have asked for food and they have not given us food. So how can you help them for free of charge? So Al-Khidr alayhi salam said that هذا فراق بيني وبينك. Now that you have reached a lot of, you have made so many, you have broken the agreements for so many times, that is our end point. هذا فراق بيني وبينك. We are now separating. We are no longer moving together in this way. But what I will do, سأنبئك بتأويل ما لم تستطيع عليه صبر. I will tell you what I meant from doing those things that I did. They said that what does not come into your minds does not mean that it is wrong. So Musa alayhi salam had to listen to Al-Khidr. to tell him what was behind those actions that were performed before. And that's where Sheikh is starting from.
أما السفينة فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر فأردت أن أعيبها وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا.
So for the issue of the boat, the issue was very simple. That the boat is for limasakin. It is for needy people, needy young men who are earning a life on water. They are trying to earn a life on water, maybe transporting people or even fishing. So what I feared is that in front of these people, there is a king who is coming and is capturing every boat that is in good conditions. So my intention was to create a hole in the boat so that it can have a damage and not just a minor damage. Because if we created, this was the boat and we created a hole here, this one could be in good conditions. So I decided to create a damage that will make the king not to take that boat. So that's why I created a hole in the boat so that the king does not take the boat for the needy people who are earning a life.
وأما الغلام فكان أبواه مؤمنين فخشينا أن يرهقهما طغيانا وكفرا فأردنا أن يبدلهما ربهما خيرا منه زكاة وأقرب رحما.
And then for the issue of the child who was killed, it is said that that boy was loved by the parents, but the boy was not a good one. Was not his faith was not a good one. Actually, I can give an example that he was practicing shirk. So the gentleman said that we feared that this boy could at one time make the parents also go astray, because sometimes the love of your parents can also make them go astray. If they love you a lot, they can also stop hearing any issue of guidance from any other party. For example, if you do something wrong and the parents love you, you say, that is not my son, that's not my daughter. She cannot do that. And yet you did it. So Al-Khidr said that we feared that this boy could create honestness that will take the parents astray. And or in another translation, they say that we feared that this boy will not obey the parents very well, because as you know, obeying parents is something that is compulsory to each and everyone. Actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made so many guidance in the issues of obeying parents. So Al-Khidr alayhi salam, he gave that reason that we feared that at one time this boy can cause the parents not to be in the right way of the religion. So we kill the boy so that maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can replace him with another one who is more righteous, that will be merciful and he will be in good terms and conditions with the parents. And he did that. Actually, you allowed that if there are two bad things, but if there is something bad, and then there is also another issue that is worse, or that is worse than this one. It is you are allowed to remove this one, and then I don't know the example. Let me say that if there is something that looks to be good, but behind that goodness there is something that is worse coming, and you identify that, you are allowed to remove the good, so that to prevent the other bad issue from happening. So killing the boy is something not good. But what we are preventing is the parents to perform shirk, or maybe this son not to obey the parents very well. That one is allowed. But of course, al-mas'ala usula, al-mas'ala usula, what I want to say is that you are allowed to say that, to do that. If you detect that there is something good, but behind that goodness there is something worse coming, you can remove this goodness. Yeah, I don't know the correct example I can give. So Al-Khidr alayhi salam, he killed the boy. You can also choose the less evil. For example, there are two evil things. Like we saw last time that Yusuf alayhi salam and the brothers want to kill Yusuf, but they decided no, let's not kill Yusuf, but we throw him into a well. So you can go from a very big evil to a less one. It is okay. It's not okay, but it is at least. It is at least. So the boy was killed in that way. Then the other incident was about the place, the career. I'm Sheikh was. وأما الجدار
وأما الجدار فكان لغلامين يتيمين في المدينة وكان تحته كنز لهما وكان أبوهما صالحا فأراد ربك أن يبلغا أشدهما ويستخرجا كنزهما رحمة من ربك وما فعلته عن أمري ذلك تأويل ما لم تستطع عليه صبرا.
Okay. Now the other issue, and is of course the last one, that وأما الجدار, and for the wall that Khidr put right, he says that and for the wall فكان لغلامين يتيمين, it was for two orphans. وكان تحته كنز لهما, but below that wall there was wealth. There was wealth for the orphans. So what we did, أردنا أن يبلغ أشدهما ويستخرج كنزهما رحمة من ربك. What we did is that we put right the wall so that the wealth down can be protected, so that when the children grow up, they can utilize the wealth properly. But they said that, of course, the translator said that what was below the wall was al-khashab, was something, a metal that was made up of gold, which had some writings on it, some knowledge of guidance for the orphans. So Al-Khidr said that below that wall there was wealth, there was something that can guide the orphans to the right path. So what we did was to put right the wall so that the wealth can be protected underground, so that when these people grow up, they can use the wealth when it is in good conditions. And then he said that ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. That was what you didn't bear with. That is what you did not bear patience with. It is what I've tried to intercept and then interpret for you. But before I proceed, I want to draw some lessons from that. That, of course, we learned this one earlier in the sermon, that the reason that Khidr gave for putting right the wall, he said that وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. Why we are protecting the wealth for the orphans is because their father was a righteous person. And that's why you are protecting the wealth for the children, so that when they grow up, they can utilize the wealth. Now here, people say, actually scholars, they tell us that sometimes what protects the children or what guides the children is not their struggle, but the parents. So if you are at one time going to be a parent, or if you are already a parent like me, because I'm also expecting, Inshallah ta'ala. You say inshallah by that. Inshallah. So if you are expecting to be a parent, what will determine the righteousness of your children is you actually. If you are someone who is not righteous, then the children will follow that. Even if you try to advise them so many times, they will not. For example, some of us, we dodge prayers, isn't it? But our dodging prayers is not that we don't want, but our parents, because they did not show that prayer is something important, and it is something that you should do on a daily basis. So we end up being lazy with prayers. But in actual sense, we want to pray, but the parents see. Our parents see. The parents by the way. So if you want to be a parent, a good parent, you can determine how your children will behave. you be a good person. You be a good person. So sometimes your children can be guided because of your righteousness. Actually, the Arabs say that the Arabs say, Tola, before you go, the Arabs say that it is a hadith, or you call al hadith da'if. The hadith is a weak one, but we can use it to draw lessons. تزوجوا من الحجر الصالح. When you're getting a wife, when you want to marry, you get from a good family, that you know that the family at least has some good background of what? Of Islam. Because why? Al-irqu dassasu. The genes will follow. The genes of not praying will follow the children. Even the grandchildren will not pray because our grandfather was not a good practicer of what? Of prayer. Practitioner. So what I'm saying is that if you can also determine how your children will behave. The Arabs say that إذ تأتي ما أنت آمر به تلفي من إياه تأمر آتيا. إذ تأتي ما أنت آمر به تلفي من إياه تأمر آتيا. If you don't imitate or if you don't practice what you tell others to do, tulfi, you demoralize man. Tulfi man iyahu ta'muru ati. You demoralize the ones that you are telling. For example, if I tell you that you go and pray, and me myself I don't do what? I don't pray. It means that you also not what? You will not pray. So my other parents, what they do, they like the fathers, they tell the children that you go to the mosque and pray, and then they tune on Arsenal what and watch the game, even if they are going to lose. But at the still we have to watch. We have to watch the game. So the children will not go to pray because the parent has not practiced. So it is said that the lineage of the children can be righteous or it can be the other side. But what determines that also the parents have a hand in that. So if you try to be righteous, then the children, alhamdulillah, they can also get a chance of being what? Being righteous. So let's start now. If you want your children to learn some Quran, then you also start. If you want your children to go what? To have some knowledge of Islam, you also start right now. And so many others. Then the other issue is that before we caution, we should also be in position to reflect on our past. Because sometimes things happen, but actually they have already happened in our lives. But because we don't pay attention to them, we end up denying the other people a chance of seeing things in the positive way. For example, Musa alayhi salam, when he was a baby, when he was just a baby, we had issues with the Pharaoh and then the parents and then the boy. Because Pharaoh was advised that let's kill every male who is produced. Because the sorcerer told the Pharaoh that what will ruin your kingdom will be a boy. So he decided to kill every male who is born. So it so happened that Muusa was born in that time when he was supposed to be killed. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala advised the mother, so what we call al-ilham, and then told the mother to put the baby, Muusa alayhi salam, in a basket, something like that, or in a wooden box, or a wooden box, and then throw the wooden box on water. So in that way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cautioned Musa that when you were young and your mother threw you in the what? On the ocean, threw you in water, who protected you? Then Musa said that it is you. So why didn't you be patient when this man created a hole in the boat? Are you trying to say that the material will save you? Did the wooden box, do you mean that the wooden box was the one that saved you from the danger? Of course, no. It was Allah's mercy that saved you. So why were you not patient when the other man created a hole in the boat? Because Musa gave a reason that you created a hole, you want to kill, to destroy the owners of the boat. But did they die? They did not. They did not die. So what protects you from danger is not the material. Because you have seen so many people who have a lot of wealth, they can even, someone can even eat from Kenya, and then he go and he take a shower from London, and then he go for other activities, maybe in USA, and then he can come to rest in our place in Jinja or Igangas. That's one. So the wealth will not protect that person at one time. That person will die. So what protects you from danger is not wealth, but it is what? Allah's mercy. Actually, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that inna lillahi mi'ata rahma anzala minha rahmatan wahidatan bayna al-jinni wal-nasi wal-bahaimi wal-hawami فبها يتعاطفون وبها يتراحمون وبها تعطف الوحش على ولدها. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, or He has 100 types of mercy. So He only gave us only one. Okay, He gave us 1% of the whole mercy. He only gave us 1%. That 1%, it is distributed amongst all the creatures, the demons, the people, the animals, the lions. So the Prophet said that even the lion having that mercy on the child, on its child, or its calf, or its baby, it is not even 1% of the mercy. It is just 0.0 something percent of the mercy. So Allah remained with 99% of the mercy, that He will use it to to forgive us, and then we enter paradise. So what saves you from danger is not the material, but it is what? It's Allah's mercy. Then the other thing is that when Khidr alayhi salam killed the boy, Musa cautioned the man, but that is actually rushing to judge, because even in our situations, we do things, but when we see others doing the same, we become annoyed, and then we caution them with a lot of anger and then a lot of castigation, because they have done something wrong. But even Musa alayhi salam, before that, you all know that when he was rushing to go away from Egypt to Madian, he had killed a person, isn't it? He had killed an innocent man. So when he rushed to Madian, no one cautioned him. So why, when you saw Khidr killing a person, you become so anxious and you forgot your past? Are you trying to say that for you, you don't do a mistake, but it's others who do mistake? Now this one happens to those people who are called die, who call others to do goodness. Eh? Sometimes we become angry when we see someone doing something wrong, but you're also victims of the same. So before you caution others, you first reflect on your life, so that you can guide the other person without anger or without a lot of criticism, because he's also a human, he can do something wrong. Then the other issue is that when Musa alayhi salam saw Khidr putting right the wall, Musa said that you could have asked for something from those people. Now, Allah cautioned Musa that when you were in Madian, in the other place, and you had nothing to eat, whom did you ask for help? It was Allah, because Musa said, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. What you will give me, or you my Lord, will be of great benefit. So why did you then ask for help from people? Why didn't you ask for help from me? So that is how we go astray. One is that we all put our focus in human, that this one is the one who is going to solve my problems, and we forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we end up losing the whole path. So when you want to earn something good, before you think of a person, you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that one is called Ar-Raja. Ar-Raja is expecting something what? Something good. So expecting something good should be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not from a person. Because when Musa was in Madian, he prayed to Allah, and he was given something that he asked or that he wanted. But when he was with Khidr, he asked from a person. He wanted to get a reward from a person. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cautioned him of that. So, before you think of the human to save you, you think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ar-Raja min Allah. لأن الرجاء عبادة. Expecting something good also is ibadah. We are not saying that when you do your coursework, you're expecting some good marks. You don't expect. No, that's not what we are meaning. What we are meaning is that something good should be expected from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These other ones are just border guys. They are just bringing the thing to you. Yeah? If you expect to eat maybe a chicken piece today, don't think of your husband, but think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah will use your husband as a border to bring the one. Bring. But even when you thank at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before you thank at the border what? The border guy. Of course, I'm not saying that these ones are border guy because I'm also part of them. But what I'm saying is that we should expect goodness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lastly, as we wind up, I said that the whole story is about seeking for knowledge. That what you don't know doesn't mean that it does not exist. But also say that arrogance in seeking for knowledge is not good because you will not learn anything. Then the other issue is that we say is that we should be righteousness in our life because even our children are following our footsteps. So if we are not good, even the children will not be good. So I said earlier that I will wind up with the hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a long hadith, a lengthy one, not a wrong, lengthy hadith. He said that مثل ما بعثني الله به من الهدى والعلم كمثل غيث أصاب أرضا فكانت منها طائفة طيبة قبلت الماء فأنبتت الكلأ والعشب الكثير وكان منها أجادب أمسكت الماء فنفع الله بها الناس وسقوا وزرعوا وأصاب طائفة منها أخرى إنما هي قيعان لا تمسك ماء ولا تنبت كلأ فذلك مثل ما بعثني الله به من العلم فذلك مثل من فقه في دين الله ونفعه الله ما بعثني الله به فعلم وعلم مثل من لم يرفع بذلك رأسا لم يقبل هدى الله إلا برسول به. The Prophet gave us 3 analogies that the knowledge that you see is like rain. It's like rain. Do you know rain, by the way? Do you know rain? I don't mean rain like money. I mean rainfall. Which follows on the iron sheet. So rainfall, that one which follows. The Prophet gave us an analogy that rainfall, the noise that you see is like rainfall. Aswaba arban, that falls in different places. There are 3 places that he gave. The first place was a very good place. Qabilatil ma. When the water falls on that place, it absorbs the water. After absorbing the water, it enables something to germinate. We grow our matoke, we grow our cassava, we grow our avocado, and so many others, even the potatoes. Then he also said that the other place is ajadib. It is a hard place. So when water falls on it, water does not go down, but it remains on top. But he said that فَنَفَعَ اللَّهُ بِهَا النَّاسِ. People are able to benefit from that, from the water. They can pick to drink, they can pick to irrigate their animals, or they can even use it in so many other things. That issue should not be a burden. Sharif, you say salam to us. You say salam. That one is my roommate. It's my roommate. Then the other issue is that the other place is a place which is sand, a sand place, a place which is full of sand soil. You know, we all know about sand soil. When water falls on the sand soil, it does not stagnate. It actually goes down, but the sand soil does not support growth of plants, especially when it is having some stones. So the Prophet ﷺ said that that's how people are. You find that amongst the people, there are those that will absorb the knowledge, and the knowledge will be absorbed into their heart, and they can use it to reflect, even to show others the goodness. And that is where we should all follow. That when you get the knowledge, it should not be on top. It should go to the heart so that you can use it to light so that you can see you yourself and then you guide others to see as well. Then the other place which holds water but does not retain or does not absorb the water, even in people, there are people of that category. Actually, amongst the people, there are those that will get the knowledge and the knowledge will be just memorized. We have seen people who can memorize knowledge. They have a lot of knowledge, but their life is contrary to their knowledge. So those people are like a place which holds water. People can pick the water and use it for drinking, use it for irrigating, use it for washing their utensils, use it for washing clothes. But the water does not benefit the soil itself. So someone who is just memorizing the knowledge will be used by other people. But to that person, the knowledge will be useless. Actually, the knowledge will be like a candle, because the candle is one thing that will provide benefits, but itself is dying, isn't it? It is dying, but it is providing benefits to people. So the knowledge should not be for memorizing. The knowledge should go to the heart. Actually, Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, لَيْسَ الْعِلْمُ بِكَثْرَةِ الرِّوَايَةِ. The knowledge is not all about accumulating narrations that the Prophet said, the Sahaba said, the other one said, the Prophet said, the other one said. The knowledge is not all about accumulating the words or the narrations. However, he said that إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ الْخَشْيَةِ. What you call knowledge is what you have in your heart that guides you in fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Actually, to be more serious, you may find that the ma'amum, the person who is behind there seated, is far more knowledgeable than the imam. Because for him, he can listen something small and practice. And the imam does not, but he knows. So the knowledge is not all about what you accumulate, but what you practice. And that's how we should be. Then the Prophet said that the other part of the soil is that soil that will get the water, but the water does not get retained, but even that soil does not support the growth of things. So it means that amongst the people, there are those people who will hear the knowledge, and the knowledge will just pass through like you pour water in sand. It will just go through. The knowledge does not benefit themselves, and the knowledge is not there. So it cannot be used to benefit others. So amongst people, they are also that category of people. So we always encourage to be in the first group. When we get the knowledge should be of use to us to reform, to change, not to change others as we die. But if it so happens, then we should also find ways of reforming. But let's try to avoid being in the third group. The third group, they don't want to learn anything. Even if there is a chance to learn, they don't want. Meaning they cannot even memorize something, but even then, they can also benefit themselves with the knowledge because they don't have the one. They don't have the knowledge. So without prolonging a lot, I want to read to you this one. They say that let's summarize. It is time. So I'll summarize because it is time. Unless maybe there are some questions, but I'm done. Okay, so
As the question you understood, now the voice, as the nation been understood. Now this is us. The Jaffa mistake, not accept. Do you have some questions? You don't. I have just like two. The first question, we talked about the issue of chasing the students or people that are learning under us. And we brought it in the context that at times the parents they do pay a lot of money in making these young ones to attain education. What if we bring the other context? I don't know if it's in Uganda saying that the moment you put a bad tomato, good ones, of course it will spoil this. So can we chase some because of that? And another question we talked about Hitler killing the young one, and we say that Islam prohibits killing unless someone falls under the three categories. That is Tayyib Zan. And we are saying if you have a playground, why do you look for other places to play? So the punishment you give us is of those who are married already. What if the unmarried they do engage in that act? That's number one. Or what if one of the parties and is married and the other one is not. So what could be the ruling? Barakallah.
The last question, let's have Sheikh Ibrahim, Sheikh Ibrahim Wetaka to reply to the last question. Of course, we don't have time, Sheikh Ibrahim. We request you answer that one very fast. The question was, yeah, you are going to answer it online. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Rabbil Alamin. No one is going to answer. But I know he's also going to say that if you're not married, and you happen to fall in the same, you are caned 100 strokes, not on the stomach. It should go where it is supposed to go. Eh? But I also want to say that when you happen to do something outside the marriage, it is better you don't expose it to people. Actually, the Prophet said that كل أمتي معافى إلا المجاهرون. The people of my nation will be forgiven, except those ones who commit a sin and Allah protects them, covers them. But they expose, they say, you know that girl? He says, man, that is not good because you are exposing. Because people will come with evidence that Allah, that one is going to Jannah, but he had issues with the other girl, and nothing happened. So you are limiting your chances of being forgiven by who? By Allah's one. So if you happen to do something and Allah covers you, please just do it for me. For me, don't expose. Don't stand outside. It's like you say you don't pray. They say, me I don't pray. Me I don't pray. Then whom are you telling? You just keep, because Allah will have grounds of forgiving you. But if you expose, it's like you are giving you are planting evidence. People will give evidence against you on the day of what? So that was the first. Sheikh Ibrahim is going to answer that one online, not X line. Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. The question which has been asked says, the tutor for today hinted onto the punishment given to the married partner, any or both. Now, what if those involved in the act of zina, fornication, are unmarried? What is the punishment given to them? Or when one of them is married and the other isn't? We say, as for the married, as our tutor said, they are stoned to death. This is a punishment which is authentic, which was once being recited in the Holy Quran, just as you see other verses. There was a verse which existed in the Quran which says, الشيخ والشيخة إذا زنيا فرجموهما البتة. When a married man or a married woman gets involved in adultery, let them be stoned to death. This is a punishment which was initiated during the lifetime of the Prophet, peace be upon him. He himself initiated it. His companions also initiated it, and those who came after him also did the same, portraying the same act which he used to do during his lifetime. So that's the punishment given to the married. Now, the unmarried, their punishment was mentioned in the Holy Quran, just as it is in Surah An-Nur, the second verse. Allah said, الزانية والزاني فاجلدوا كل واحد منهما 100 جلدة. When the unmarried woman or man involves him or herself in fornication, let them be flogged or caned 100 strokes. Then our Prophet, peace be upon him, added on to another element of suspending them for a year. He said, Al-Bikru bil-Bikri jaldu mi'a wa nafyu 'am, or wa nafyu sana. He said, the unmarried, when they involve themselves in fornication, they are given 100 lashes, 100 strokes, and also suspended for a year, taken away from their home places to a faraway place for a year, then they are brought back to home. That is what the Prophet, peace be upon him, added onto. Then our scholars have various views onto this being initiated onto a lady who has been caught in the act. Is she also taken away for a full year, suspended for a year, or how is it done? Others say yes, it works onto her. However, when we are suspending her, let her go with a mahram or somebody who is going to be looking after her. Then as for the gent, this unmarried boy or gentleman or man, this one, all the two punishments are initiated onto him. Then the other part of when one is married and the other isn't, yes, we initiate the punishments accordingly. The married receives his or hers, and the unmarried also receives his or hers. There is no difference. This is something which is being initiated and it's well known in Islam. But we have a challenge that here in Uganda, the government which is leading us isn't a Muslim one, isn't a Muslim one. So what should we do? And it being the fact that such punishments are only allowed to be initiated by those in power. And when you look at the power which was given to our Muslim leaders, it doesn't reach that extent. So what should we do? We say the only solution is for you to abstain. The only solution is for you to abstain, because initiating a punishment is an act of purifying one from a sin. When you haven't been purified, that means the sin will still remain onto you. So you have to be very careful so that you don't fall a victim. Because on the day of judgment, when you reach in front of Allah with such, you have a lot to say. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, when he was describing qualities of a believer, he said, والذين لا يدعون مع الله إلها آخر ولا يقتلون النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ولا يزنون. And those who do not associate Allah with other things and do not kill others except when not on fault, ولا يزنون, and do not commit zina, fornication or adultery. He said, ومن يفعل ذلك يلقى أثاما. Whoever commits that receives a sin, gets a sin, and يضاعف له العذاب يوم القيامة. Allah will multiply punishments unto him or her on the day of judgment. ويخلد فيه مهانا, and will be burnt by hellfire and will spend his life in hellfire when he is lowered to the ground. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala prevent us from such. Wallahu Ta'ala a'lam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Then the other question, as we are winding up, was Seka brought the analogy of tomatoes. When you mix rotten tomatoes with good ones, the other good ones also get what? Spoiled, isn't it? But my point was specific that it should not be a habit. That instance can happen that someone can really go beyond the limits and you cannot put him right. You can put control measures. By the way, I want also to say that knowledge is not all about what you learn in class. If someone has failed in school, that person should be given other chances, maybe as a mechanic somewhere, or as he goes to learn something else, maybe tailoring. The problem that we do, especially our ancestors, they used to think that when you study chemistry or when you study to become a nurse, when you study engineering, that is satanic knowledge, which is not right, because biology, the chemistry, the physics, the what is in the Quran, isn't it? I'm lying. So they used to think that studying engineering, it is satanic. But when they want to put lights, they will call the engineer, who is not a Muslim, the Peter, the Paulo, not in Paulo. They will call the Paulo to put light. When they want to build the roads in their Muslim countries, they will call those ones the architects, the whatevers who are not Muslims. Then why do you say that that knowledge is for Christians? Actually, that is the very basic knowledge of us. You should also learn the same. Yeah? So if you are here and you're studying, you are nursing, you are in the right way. You're studying Islamic. If you're studying engineering and you're here, you are studying Islamic. That is knowledge. The problem is how you use it. Are we together? So I'm saying here, as I wind up, of course, that it should not be taken as a habit to keep on chasing away people from the knowledge, because the very essence of knowledge. Actually, let me define for you knowledge according to the way I was taught by Dr. Kawes. I may not quote the exact words, but he said that knowledge or education is the discovery of one's ignorance. It is just you to discover what you don't know, and then you know it, and then you reform, you act that way. So we shouldn't deny people chances of seeking for knowledge, with issues relating to indiscipline. If there are cases of indiscipline, before we think of chasing them, let's think of other measures. For example, we can cancel them, or we can question them, or we can even put them in by the way, there are schools that will help people reform. You can even try to imprison the person, then you bring him back. If a lady gets pregnant in a P7, that is not the end of life, because that is not the beginning of life, and it is not the end. Life will still continue. Then why do you chase away people? Because of pregnancy. That is something. Isn't it in our Bible? Yes.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك